Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to our latest event in the Rethinking Korea Speaker Series. I am Philip Tai, Director of the Northeastern University Global Asian Studies Program and Associate Professor of History and Asian Studies. The Rethinking Korea Series continues this semester by inviting a number of distinguished speakers from different disciplines to provide very fresh perspectives on Korea. I know I'm going to be repeating myself throughout this series, but I need to emphasize, of course, that it should be no surprise to anyone that Korea is a critical region of the world. South Korean cultural exports circulate around the world, becoming mainstream popular culture. Meanwhile, the South Korean economy ranks as the world's largest and most dynamic. Technology, public health infrastructure among the world's best. And finally, the Korean Peninsula remains this sort of flashpoint for geopolitical tensions almost 75 years after the Korean War. So whatever perspective you take, whether it's economy, geopolitics, culture, Korea matters. Korea matters, and given its outsized role in our contemporary world, you ignore Korea at your peril. Students here at Northeastern are understandably very interested in all things Korea, and our efforts to bring more Korean programming, more Korean studies here was given a tremendous boost by the South Korean Initiative Fund, which was established earlier last year by a very generous donation from the Min family. The Min family was very impressed by the experiential education offered by Northeastern, and they wanted to help create an institutional presence for Korean studies here at Northeastern. The South Korean Initiative Fund will support this speaker series and other Korea-related programs, scholarships, Korean language instruction, and so forth. We will have many Korea-related programs and events on the horizon that will help satisfy this student demand. And we hope that these programs and events will jumpstart some very important, much-needed conversations and education here at Northeastern about the significance of Korea. Now, before I introduce our speaker, please allow me a moment to acknowledge the many people and supporters who have made this whole series and event possible. I want to thank once again, the Min family for their very generous donation for the South Korea Initiative Fund. I want to thank Michelle Davis at the University Advancement Office for securing this support originally. I want to thank all my colleagues here at Northeastern and the Global Asian Studies program. They've done so much work behind the scenes by offering so much of their time and their support. I want to thank my many co-sponsors for this speaker series, the Departments of History, Philosophy and Religion, International Affairs, as well as the Northeastern Humanities Center and Center for the Arts. I also want to thank Consul Jiho and Professor Myo Jung Chung, for arranging the Consul General's visit. And I finally want to acknowledge our wonderful staff who made this event possible, our events coordinator, Caitlin McPhee, and our student co-op, Dian Bang Liang, who is outside very diligently ushering students in. So before I introduce our speaker, I will now invite Dean Kelly Tsai to offer a few remarks on Northeastern's existing engagement with Korea and Korean studies. Dean Tsai has had a very distinguished career at Johns Hopkins, where she was Professor of Political Science, Director of the East Asian Studies Program, Vice Dean for the college, at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, where she was Dean of the Humanities and Social Sciences Division, and now at Northeastern, she is the new Dean of the College of Social Sciences and Humanities. Please join me in welcoming Dean Tsai.
Thank you, Professor Tai, and welcome everyone. I'm really excited to be here. I just arrived about 2 weeks ago, just in time to catch this fantastic event. And I think one thing that really excited me about Northeastern is that it's really embedded in the community and it seeks to be relevant to the world, not just to other academics. And it's in that spirit that Northeastern is really recognizing the growing importance of Korea and Korean studies as part of its university-wide drive to become a truly global university. And I was delighted to learn that just in the past couple of years, under the leadership of people that are sitting right here in this room, Northeastern has already made some meaningful progress, initial first steps, really meaningful ones in creating much more of an institutional presence for Korean studies and to meet the growing demand from our students for really anything related to Korea. So in addition to the South Korea Initiative Fund that Professor Tai mentioned from the Min family, the Global Asian Studies Program will soon be announcing winners of the Korea Student Awards. And these are scholarships that are offered to all Northeastern students to support study abroad, research, internships, and co-op opportunities. And it's just very exciting because this is going to be the first time that Northeastern has been able to offer that kind of financial support for students. Meanwhile, our Global Experience Office has offered almost 40 study abroad programs to South Korea since 2015. And Northeastern has also established institutional partnerships with several South Korean universities, including Yonsei University, KAIST, Wusong University, Seoul National University, University in Science and Technology, and also Korea University for additional academic collaboration. Other corners of the university are also excited about engaging more closely with Korea. The Damore McKim School of Business has been leading study abroad trips to South Korea for several years on South Korean entrepreneurship. And Northeastern faculty have also worked closely with colleagues in South Korean universities to help local startups with their go-market strategies. Another really exciting development is that in response to strong student demand, our World Languages Center has hired an instructor in the Korean language and culture, and will start offering Korean in the fall of 2024. And this is the first time, belatedly, but finally for the first time, that Northeastern is offering the Korean language. And then I'm excited, I think I arrived just in time because in the forthcoming year, our Global Asian Studies program is planning to apply for funding from the Korea Foundation in the hopes that we can seed a tenure track position in Korean studies, which, if we are successful, will mark the first time that we've had such a position here at Northeastern University. So without further ado, I'd like to turn the floor back to Professor Tai to introduce Consul General Kim. We're super honored that you're here with us, and it means a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Tai, for your remarks. Now let me go ahead and introduce our speaker this afternoon. Kim Jaehui is the Consul General for the Consulate General of the Republic of Korea in Boston. He's been in this position since his appointment in June 2023. Mr. Kim has enjoyed a distinguished career, two-decade career in the Republic of Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He has served in Russia, Israel, the European Union, and many other diplomatic posts around the world. His service has been recognized by citations from the Prime Minister and the President. Consul General Kim is a graduate of Yonsei University, where he majored in political science and international studies. He will be giving a talk, past, present, and future of Korea. This is, of course, a very important topic, given the outsized role South Korea plays in the global economy and global geopolitics. Northeastern University is very honored by his visit, so please join me in welcoming Consul General Kim.
Good afternoon. First of all, thank you very much inviting me this very precious opportunity to share my idea regarding to my home country Korea with you. And so I have to say thank you to Dean, the Kelly side. Thank you very much. So you are very big the project and to plan for with my country for the Korean study, Korean language and Korean study too. That's great. Very happy to hear that. And also the Professor Tai, thank you very much arranging this great opportunity. I'm already talked to the dean and the professor. As a diplomat, actually this kind of the opportunity is the best and great honor for me. This is the 28th year of my career as diplomat. As a diplomat, have an opportunity in front of the student, just like you, and talking about my country. It is the honor and privilege to me. So today, I will cover updated some general story about the Korea, economic, security, and everything. And also, I want to share idea with you through just some Q&A session after presentation. Okay, so try this one. So I think 2 or 3. First of all, so I have to say some excuse. So spring is just to come to the Boston, and my body has recognized the spring comes. So this morning, some allergic reaction is kicking in, so my voice is a little bit harsh. But so is it okay? So backside, you can hear. Okay. I remember around 2 months or 3 months ago, I'm requested to give this kind of lecture at this school, and I'm thinking about what kind of content, what kind of topic. Frankly speaking, if I was in 3 or 4 years before, 2020 or 2019-18, when I got this kind of the request for the lecture, my topic is fixed. North Korea nuclear issue, or North Korea's missile launch, the bad activities of North Korea. Everything is focused on the Korean Peninsula security issue. But now we are in 2024. I'm here around 8 months. For the 8 months, nobody asked me about the North Korea actually. Everybody asked me about some Korean drama, Korean movie, or K-pop. So the BTS would come to the Boston in the near future. The kind of question I got, but I have to say, impossible. So I choose this quite the general the topic, the picture. Is there anyone who been to Korea? Okay, so you are Korean, so you. Okay. So maybe you recognize this place. This is the middle of the capital Seoul, the Gyeongbok Palace, the main palace of the Joseon Dynasty. Then moving on. Oop.
Let me see.
It's okay. Okay, to starting my presentation, I think I have to share my experience as diplomat with you a little bit. But this is the world map, and you see there are 5 countries and 2 cities. I forgot that the U.S. national flag. I have to put it, but I just forgot about that. This is the places I served during my time. So I'm starting my career as a diplomat, starting from the Israel and Russia, Sweden, EU. Maybe some of you thinking about your experience or career as a diplomat. Yeah, I'm very highly recommended that kind of works. So this is how can I say, very dynamic and also very challenging and very interesting works. I think you know my country's location in this map, just the part of the end of that. So, okay, very small part of it. Okay, so around 5 or 6 ago, yes, I was in the Houston in here. Texas is 7 times bigger than Korea. Yeah, you can imagine how small the Korean Peninsula over there. But unfortunately, the Korean Peninsula is divided into 2. My country, the South Korea, we call that, but the official name is the Republic of Korea. It's only half part of it in southern part. Very small about that. And I put our national flag too. As a diplomat, so we are 2, the theater of the working. So one is like all over the world. We call that the foreign post. That is my foreign post. Headquarters, I work in those areas. I was the director for the Western European Affairs. So you can now understand why I work in so many European countries. And I was the Director General for the planning and coordination in headquarters. And after that, so I was working at my presidential office Deputy Secretary to the President of the Protocol. So I choose this photo. This is taken last year when I worked at the Secretary to the President. So you see, so this picture is taken by the official photographer, but I didn't know he took picture just like this way. When I left from the office, he gave me the album, and I found these pictures. And one photograph is this one. This is the middle of the Seoul. The commercial flight, they didn't allow to fly over the middle of the Seoul, but this is a special plane for the president, so only his plane is allowed to fly over the Seoul. If you've ever been in Korea, this is the tower of the Lotte in Gangnam areas. You see so many apartments. So the pictures, so it is the attending some international conference and international the meeting. And this one I want to show you. I think this one is the EAS, East Asian Summit. So the Asian countries and also the Asia Pacific countries all together on this conference. Also the European country also invited to it. Only European Union and European Union, the European Council, the Council of Europe. And you see that there is the Russian flag. So Russian President Putin was invited, but he could not attend here because of the Ukrainian war. And the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov attend in this meeting. But as you see, the Russian side had a seat just beside of my president. So in the diplomatic circle, that kind of thing could be a matter. So Russia is just beside of us. So it is just seating arrangements. It could not issue. But sometimes the Foreign Minister Lavrov, he could talk to my president because when the conference started, nobody in the table, only president and only the representative of each nation, they just sitting together. And then we are a little bit worried that, but at that time, Korea starting to the assistance to the Ukrainian side, humanitarian stuff only. But we got some complaint from the Russian side too. So we are a little bit worried. So maybe the Russian foreign minister could talk to our president when the photograph took a picture. So my work is I have to check that the widest distance between my president and the Russian foreign minister. I have to put his chair as far as possible, but he cannot talk. So I make some space, asking the photographers, yeah, please take a picture. So please take a picture, Russian foreign minister every time without the plane with my president. That kind of works the diplomacy will happen. And starting of my presentation, so I was thinking, what kind of question as the first question just draw to you. So my question is, if you think about the Korea, what kind of image you think? What is Korea for you? What kind of the things has happened to you when you think about the Korea? So this is yes, I know this is very bright image of Korea. So this is the night, the scenery of Korea and Seoul. And next one is, as you recognize it, this is the last August, Camp David, the meeting among the United States, Korea, and Japan. And the last one is we recently launched. We made the satellite by our technology and our on our basis. And this is some K-pop group, I don't know. My colleague told me so. Okay. And then this is the scenery of the ordinary university in Korea. And also we have so many exchange students from all over the world. Yes, they are posing for this picture, but it is quite usual. the scenery in Korea. So Korea now is quite open to all over the world students. And you recognize this the movie. And so I think the last year, the Korean car company Hyundai, they exported so many motor vehicles to the United States. I think it's the number 3 or number 2, number 3. It is just very the big exporter to the US car market. Especially there's some electric vehicle and the passenger vehicle. And this picture is maybe some of you can recognize this. This is a robot dog made by the Boston Dynamics. This company is recently bought by the Hyundai company. So it is the Korean company now. And the last one is the dishes, Korean food. Every day we enjoy that kind of food at home. So okay, that is quite the bright side, the Korean thing. Oh no. But I have to say that, so just like every other country, so a society has a bright side. At the same time, on bright side, and also at the same time, I have to say there's some ugly side too. But I'm the Consul General of Korea, so I could not show you some ugly picture of it, but you can imagine that. This, no, not that. Oh, sorry. Yes. This is a few pictures show some issue, some problem the Korea and Korean people now face. Later on at my presentation, I will tell you a little bit more detailed way for your visual understanding. Up the pictures you might know well. That is he is the leader of our bad neighbor, North Korea. He is this year 41 years old, but he has been leader of the North Korea already 11 years. So he's starting as a new leader of North Korea, 30 years old, now 11 years old. 11 years he is a leader. You just imagine that. So all over the world, yes, there are some dictators, some authoritarian leaders, 11 years leadership, but he's still very early 40s. So you can think, so what we, the South Korean government, South Korean people face with it. So even this picture is very recent one. And that small girl is the daughter of the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. We don't know how many children the North Korean leader has. Recently, the UK, the newspapers mentioned that he has 5 kids, and she might be the only daughter or one of 2 daughters, and Kim Jong-un might be 1 son or 3 sons. Nobody knows. Anyhow, for the last 6 months or more than 6 months, every time in important the national occasion, national ceremony, every time the Kim Jong-un accompanying with her daughter. She is 11 years old. And then, so this is the missile. So recently, this is the very recent launch by the North Korea. And if you see the color of the plane, up until now, the North Korean missile only using some liquid fuel. In that case, this frame is already a white one. But they now using the solid fuel. That means they can put their fuel in advance. If they make a decision, they can launch their missile in a very short preparing time. So you can see this yellow one. And this is I think you're familiar with this picture too. This is taken by the satellite. Northern part, that is the North Korea. And this white one is the electric city in the nighttime. So in North Korea, this white point, that is Pyongyang. Only Pyongyang we could see some electric city. Compared to the South Korea, big differences. Recently, we interview around 3,000 North Korean defected. We check the real situation of North Korea, we checking that. And they mention every day North Korean ordinary people only have 4 hours electricity, even in Pyongyang areas. In other local areas, they could not use any electricity. And this is a picture of the Korean War. The Korean War is quite recently. It is from 1950 to 1953, 70 years ago. And this one is also a few days ago. This is the demonstration by the very young doctors. The Korean government recently announced that we want to increase the number of the new doctors, 2,000 more, and they now came into the street. They make some demonstration. It is not a reasonable decision, something like that. But in Korea, if you visit Korea, every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you can witness this every kind of demonstration all around the capital city. They're wearing some the red big card in this one. They are very peaceful, so don't worry about it. They never, in the past, they draw some stone, some Molotov cocktail in 1990s until. But nowadays, no, they're just singing. And they just screaming, yelling, but it is very peaceful. This is the picture also taken by a few months ago, very yellowish. It is not a filter, this is the air pollution. So later presentation I will explain to you, the Korea has been achieved very rapid economic development. So it has some disadvantage too. So we are quite much focused on the manufacturing. That means a lot of the pollution nearby the city. And especially in the springtime, yellow dust from China and also the Gobi Desert came together, mixing the air pollution and also the dust. So it makes this kind of a very yellowishy. But this is quite mild situation. Sometimes we could not see anything like some other country too. So in Korea now the environment, some climate change issue is very severe also. I think you really like some Korean snack nowadays, seaweed, kim. But so from last Sunday to yesterday in Boston, we have a very big seafood exhibition. Many Korean, the exporter, visit these places. So now the kim is really popular, the Korean product all over the world. Kim is only produced in 3 countries, Japan, China, and Korea. Only those areas. If you imagine that the world map, very small area, only that area we can produce the kim. Because of that, increasing the temperature of the sea, this year, the kim doesn't grow up. It is a big problem. Wow. And then, so this one, so its birth rate, now Korea is 0.78. That means it's a big social issue. 2 couple have just 1 babies. That's a very big severe issue. This is also, it is not a rush hour. Every time the Korean traffic situation is like this. So many cars, so many people, but very limited infrastructure, so a lot of the traffic. Last picture, this one. Maybe you can think this one is the night scenery. People enjoying the nighttime, right? But this is the scenery about the Korean high school and middle school student. It is around 11 p.m. They just finished their private school, private institutions classes. So when they usually go to school from 8 o'clock to the 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. After that, so they have to go to the private institution for additional studying. So their studying would be end 10 o'clock or 11 p.m. After that, if you see the street, compared to it, general time, there's so many cars, same places, it's Gangnam area, but you can see not less car. They are waiting for their bus to go home. this is the, as you see, so in Korea we have still very severe the educational fever competition. So this is the something show you the another aspect of Korea compared to the first one. Now I'm starting the official presentation about the Korea. The first part of it, now where the Korea now is. So I think you quite know well about that. Before the entering into explanation, I have to say a little bit summary of the Korean history. As you see this one, I try to find out the right content for explaining to you about current situation of Korea. So I found from the internet the card news, the card. It is a little bit old one, so I think more than 8 or 9 years old, but I don't know reason why the Korean government didn't update it. But anyhow, it cover all the aspects, so I will using this card to explain to you. The middle of it, Korea, we said the 5,000 years of history. So maybe you think that, oh my God, 5,000 years? But really, the Korean people, the Korean national, live on the Korean Peninsula for 5,000 years. It is not only the myth of story, we have the historical record from the Chinese book, 5,000 years. So just to jump to the modern history, so we have a long history, some dynasty changes, and from 1910 to 1945, the Korea was the colony of Japanese imperialism for 35 years. So just touch upon the history a little bit. End of 9th century, the Japan, they opened their door of every social aspect, so society, economic, politics, militarily, every aspect they opened their door to the outside world. But in opposite way, the Korea, when the Western countries approached us, we made the decision to close down. So that very not simple, but that decision itself changing the history about all these Northeast Asian countries. So colonialization by Japan for the 35 years. And as you know, in 1945, end of the World War II, we got the independence. From 1945, 1948, very fragile and very hectic period without government. And then so the Korean government, Republic of Korea, set up our own government only in southern part of it, and northern part of it in DPRK, People's Republic of Korea, they setting up. And as I mentioned then, 1950, 1953. 1953, the Korean War ended, and we, from that time on, so we started our very long journey to social, economic, political development. But if you just reflect over, so Korean War finished 1953. From 1953 until 1960s, after the war, everything is broken down, so it is just preparation timing. From 1960 to almost 60 years, we really achieved very dramatic development. I'm just sharing with you some very simple statistics. In 1960s, the Korean population is, at the time, still quite big number of Korean people live in very small areas. 1960, 25 million people. And 60 years later, 2023, Korean population is now 52 million people, two times bigger. Just a reminder, 2 times bigger the people, but our GDP, 1960s, only $2 billion. But last year, $1.7 trillion, 850 times bigger. And so in terms of if we calculate the number into per capita, in 1960, $158. At the time, we are much poorer compared to all other countries, even, I'm sorry to say this like this way, but even some African countries much living better than Korea. A few months ago, I attended one seminar. The African expert, he mentioned that he was a government official. He talked like this. In 1968, he clearly remembered the GDP per person, the Jaire and Korea, same thing, $198. But now, 60, 70 years later, the per capita in Jaire now changing into the Congo. There, the per capita is less than $1,500. But now in Korea, this year, the last year, $34,147. So it is almost 216 times bigger. As I mentioned, that's the Korean population. Illiteracy 1%. Average lifespan is 81. Economy, if you see that, so until 86, it is rapidly developing over this way. So you think this 86, what happened in Korea? That is the moment for the Korean society to change into that democratization. We just throw away the dictatorship, authoritarian regime. From that on, we starting the period of the democracy, and then we try the decreasing the distortion of the market, and then we enjoy this kind of very rapid development. But please see this thing, you cannot see the very small portion, but I will explain to you. In 1960, the Korean government, so we announced our economic policy. So we try to focus on the export-oriented industry. But 1960, Korea didn't have almost nothing. So at that time, the export item is the wheat or the socks, and that kind of very simple thing. 60 years later, number one, the item of the Korean export, semiconductor and automobiles, shipbuilding, and the wireless cell phone, and some petroleum products, and then some display, sensors, and plastic. Wholly changes the structure of the industry for the 60 years. And fair election, as I told you, in 1987. Since then, so we passed through a lot of the difficulty, a lot of fluctuation, but anyhow, now we can say that, so very strong the democracy and Korean culture. And last part of it, so I will explain later, but this showing that the Korean War end in 1953, a little bit shame, but until 2000, Korea was the country which had been received some assistance from other countries, especially from the United States. Even this time, from 1990 and 1999, we got quite huge number of support from the United States and also international community. So it changed from 2000. Now we provide the ODA, so overseas assistance, the OD assistant. What is A? No, development assistance, sorry about that. So this is the amount is still closing, and also we're sending peacekeeping the operation to all over the world. This is 8 years the statistics now. 15 countries, 1,787 soldiers we will send to other countries as PKO. So this is showing where Korea stands now. Economics, cultures, and the political entity, the democracy, all this kind of thing. Sorry. I think that the story of the very rapid development, I think you already heard, and you know that. If you see some of the Korean drama, some Korean movie, they sometimes touch upon that kind of the thing. Starting with the drama, they touch upon the poor situation. The times go on, the Korean people enjoy very comfortable life, so you saw that. Many people ask me this question. So what is the secret of the Korean development? How? Because in all over the world, so many nations experience quite similar the process of history. World War II, okay, before that, the colonialization, war, independence, and try to make a social economic development. Maybe so many countries starting from the same line. And yes, we all together we start from the line. And some countries going a little bit fast, a little bit late. That is the ordinary thing. In case of Korea, as you see that only for the last 60 years, we made a very rapid and remarkable development advancement. Even Korea called that some miraculous achievement. Han River's the miracle, yeah, we call that. So many people asking us, Korean government official, what is the secret of Korean the development? I think this the very simple sentence showing very nice way the Korean secret of such a development. It is made by the Mr. Jang Ha-jung. He is the professor and now the Cambridge University in UK. You just read it very simple, some sentence. Korean economic miracle was the result of a clever and programmatic the mixture of market incentives and state direction. So there's using the miracle, okay, and then clever and very pragmatic mixture, okay, market incentive, capitalism, and state direction. Yes, we finished our authoritarian rule in 1987, I say, in Broadway. But still, after that, so Korea, yes, I have to admit that. So still the role of the government in Korean economics is very strong compared to other countries. State direction and the market incentives. But very summarize the reason of the Korean success. It is not easily come up to you. Understand this way? Much simpler way. So there are two things. First one is unspoken consensus among Korean people. So it is very strong words I explained to you. If you see the history of other countries, for example of some Western countries, I was stationed in Sweden and also Germany. So we're the ambassador here. So in case of the Sweden and Germany, they make some social contracts for focusing their effort in their social development. So okay, so there is no more dispute between industry and labor. In case of Sweden, it's much stronger the contract. So okay, so we will take care about you. So please don't do any demonstration or any strikes. If we strikes, everyone losing everything. So that kind of the contract and then some social contract, promises, and then agreements they have. In case of Korea, we don't have it. We never make that kind of thing. But in Korea, today, so we are some senior members of the Korean community over there. They are the witnesses of this the unspoken consensus. That means very strong feeling among the parents, the generation. That generation experienced the Korean War. After the Korean War, very severe economic, social situation. They have the same idea. We can sacrifice everything for my children. It is a very strong feeling. So at that time, even the parents, my mother, always told me, after the Korean War, there was nothing. And they have to work for their family, for themselves, for their children. So we also feel like, so yes, we need some freedom, we need some liberty, we need some entertainment, joy, everything, pleasure. But they sacrifice everything only for their children. That kind of very strong consensus mixing together with the strong direction of the government, I think it made a very big change. So that time, I was an elementary school student. I still remember that, so there is some praise. So saving every penny. And also the time the Korean population is more than 45 million people, so very huge, small area, so many people. That time just like China, only one child and only two child, in the very limited number of child. That kind of social movement, it is very strong. And now, right now I'm thinking that kind of the movement and that kind of direction, that kind of pressure from the society, it really could be really hard to understand. But that time, so they sacrificed everything for their future generation. Another thing is alliance with the United States. Frankly speaking, in Korea, some people thinking the Korean War broke down totally because the struggle among the global powers. It was not a war of Korean people. It is a war by power balance and Cold War areas. And after the war, 3 years, I will show you some statistics. It's just a 3 years war. But actually, the real fighting between South Korea and North Korea only kept around less than 1 hours, 1 years. After 1 year, China intervened into the Korean War, and that the mood of the United States politics a little bit changed. So they try to no more the advance. They just try to defend the status quo, attrition, very long the period of the war, 3 years. That time, so we all together around the 130 the Korean soldiers there, and 40,000 U.S. soldiers also lost their lives in Korean War. And then so altogether, North and South Korea, around 2.5 million civilians were there. 1953, the Korean War ended. The Korean War ended at exactly the same places. Korean War starting from the 38th degree of the Korean Peninsula and going up and down. And then 3 years later, it was end at the same place. A little bit changes, the north-south, but almost same places. In 1953, through a long political negotiation, the United States and Korea made the alliance. I have to say that, so because of that, the alliance with the United States, Korea really could make this amazing, remarkable development in every areas. Still, the North Korea has a very hostile regime. They always looking for new chance to start a new war. In terms of security, the United States provide that the security umbrella. Security is the back power to my country, and United States open the market for the Korean company, and also open their door to the young Korean people to come to the United States, learn the new technology and new knowledge. So, the last year, 2023, 2053, the Korean War end, 2023, the 70 years anniversary of the U.S.-Korea alliance between the countries. So last year, so the Korean government asking the Gallup to the survey. How about the Korean people feeling together, feeling toward the United States? So there are many the facts. Well, one or two things I will introduce to you. So one question is, what is the main reason the Korea could achieve this great the achievement and also accomplishment, which you enjoy right now. 91.7%, they pick up the United States, alliance with the United States. And second question is, which country is which country is closest country to Korea? You feel like that. And then the number one is the United States, but the number is 42%. And Japan is around 25%, because the relationship with Japan is quite getting better from last years. And China is very low. And another question is, what do you think about the future relationship with the United States? What kind of the relations South Korea and United States would make for the future area? It is a little bit different, the idea. So on that question, so I will explain to you a little bit later. Okay. Next one is, okay, so now the Korea is the achieved very amazing the accomplishment. So Korean people really enjoy the great the development and social stability. But as like all other countries, we also faces a lot of changes. So I'm choose this picture from internet. A long way to go. There are two kinds of pictures I choose. One is in this mountain view, another is the sea view. But it is much better explain the situation we now face. So there's a long way to go. That means there is a road, we know that. There is a road, very long, but anyhow, we could learn or drive along this road. But there is a mountain. Inside the mountain, we don't know what kind of thing we have. Another thing is, behind the mountain, we really don't know, we could not see. This is the real situation of Korea right now. Sorry, I'm confused. So I'm trying to categorize some of the challenges Korea faces now in these four areas: politics, economy and industry, social changes, and for the security. I think it is not specific to only Korea. So every country, the United States, all other countries, they face this kind of same situation, because now international situation is very unstable, and every country face some generation changes, new generation, all they face the same problem. So I'm only focused on something on each category. First one, in politics, I have to say that the polarization, I think it is now kind of some fashion word in politics in every country. Extremism, some ultra-right, polarization. That kind of words not only apply to my country too, every country. Especially this year, almost 70 countries has their national election. Congress, Parliament, President, even in here, United States. So we pass through those political process every day. We heard about that, the polarization, political instability. Same thing happening in Korea. But in Korea, a little bit specific way, okay? But it is too much generalization, but I have to say it like this way. In Korea, we have also some conservative groups and some progressive group. I don't know my word is correct or not. But in Korea, we call that left lean, left side, progressive, all the same, I think. So I'm just very generalized, so conservative and progressive. Okay, for example, in the United States, when you try to divide two groups, so yeah, for me, for the Korean, for the foreigner, here is a very various the agenda, like some, okay, for example, some the immigration issue. Second, some social equality issue or some gender issue too, LGBT, and some abortion issue too. Abortion is very important issue too. In Korea, it is too much generalization, but in Korea there is only one issue. If you like North Korea, it means you are progressive. If you think North Korea is our enemy, so we have to prepare for our strength. If they do something wrong, we cannot tolerate no more. The kind of the feeling we have, we call that very conservative in Korea. It is very, it's too much the clear cut, the generalization. Now in young generation, young people, they also thinking about so many various social issues. As I mentioned, all issues, immigration, open to immigration. But still in Korea, very strong the division between two groups. And that group is getting stronger and stronger. If you remember the presentation picture of a demonstration in the street, every day. So one of my foreign friends, when I come to United States, he sending me mail. So he visited Korea, weekend day. He went out to the street. He find out that one group, they flagging the Korean national flag and also the United States flag. And some of them even hanging Israeli flag too. They together. Just beside of it, they not hanging the North Korean flag. No, that's illegal. But they yelling some like a social changes in very progressive groups and conservative groups. They did some demonstration separately, but at the same time. But if we think our history, so I mentioned that, so in our cases, the real process of the democratization, just starting from 1987, that means only 40 years, less than 40 years, very short period of that, the social changes. So we're still in the process of social changing. So this polarization, so it is very big issue in Korea too. Another, in terms of in area of the economy, the Korean economy, yes, I have to say that, so we achieved very remarkable, miraculous achievement. But our economy and our industry heavily focus on the manufacturing. Semiconductor and auto assembly automaking, yes, it is quite the developed area of a manufacturing, but manufacturing is manufacturing. Manufacturing means factories. Factory means the pollution related to. Not all factories just making some air pollution. In case of the semiconductor, it's very clean, the manufacturing facility. But anyhow, it using a lot of electricity, a lot of waters, and wasting, and the treating those waste, the material, it is also a big problem. Another problem is, just for example, the semiconductor. Now, the Korea is the number one or number two. In one type of the semiconductor is Korea number one, so memorial, the semiconductor. Another one, Taiwan is number one and Korea number two. Korea is number one or number two producer of semiconductor. But from the last year, the profit of the Korean semiconductor industry is decreasing rapidly. Today, the New York Times, they cover the newly developed industry of semiconductor in Malaysia. Now the semiconductor factory moved to other country because the manufacturing industry is moving on. Not only we cannot hold that industry in my country only, because it depends on the cost and labor and also the location, all related to. So Korea, and as you see, the China in just very near future, and still very the factory of all the manufacturing, every kind of the stuffs. Even now that the manufacturing point moving to other country. So it is a very big issue to Korea. Now we have a very strong position we proudly say that the Korean industry finally reached the top level of world industry. But we cannot say after 30 years later, maybe 50 years later, Korean industry, we cannot enjoy that kind of the the number one the status in those areas. That means we have to find out the future area of more the new industry. So we are focused on some high-tech area. In that term, the Boston is the one of that the active, the destination of the Korean company now. So even this year, we only have passed 2 months, but I think more or less 20 Korean companies moved into the Boston. All those countries focus on that high-tech areas, bio, life science, robotics, and some AI areas and medical equipment in those areas. But it is a very big question and homework to my government, Korean business, Korean industry, and Korean people too. It is related to everything. So Korean industry changing their paradigm into this high-tech area. That means the Korean government change our policy in that direction. Korean industry and business also they do the same thing. And also students just like you have to thinking about your future majors. What kind of the major I would take? So all big changes. Climate changes, I think you know that. And next one is social changes. As I briefly mentioned that, so it is a really huge issue in Korea, now in birth rate. Once society maintain their capability of development and maintaining the welfare system, social system, that birth rate should be 2.02 or 1. It is the standard birth rate. As you remember, in Korea, 0.76. But just 2 weeks ago, one Korean research center announced that the real number of Korean birth rate was 0.68. Getting lower and lower, it is a huge problem. Even a few months ago, one commentator of the U.S. newspaper, he wrote down the opinion, the article, of course. He said that really surprising. Now the Korean country of Korea disappeared from the map. He said it's just a calculation by very simple calculation. If the Korean society maintain 0.7 upcoming 30 or 50 years, the population size. Now the North Korean population is to 2.24 million people. We are 42 million people. 30 or some 30, between 30 to 50 years. If we keep maintaining that rate, the population of the North Korea is much bigger than South Korea. It is huge issue. So if that the birth rate, so if people, so the new generation is decreasing, they are smaller and smaller, it means the labor and also our welfare system. Everything. Korean society is the making on the standard of the 50 million Korean people. So in Korea, I think around 250 universities. Now, so many universities located in other areas, already they losing their students. Some universities now say that, so if we cannot get new students, we have to close down our school. Already the problem is happened. Birth rate directly related to the aging society too. Korean population is getting older very rapidly, but our new generation, we could not follow it. Another one is the gender identity. I have to say, maybe it relates to some Asian culture, but in Korea, I can say that. So the status and role of the female is getting, getting better. Not getting better. It is almost quite the rise. But still we have some problem, but in our society the problem is still we have a very strong understand that the role of the female, role of the man. It is some Asian culture thing. So in society we have a very strong dispute on this gender identity issue too. This is quite the general phenomenon and also the challenge every other countries face. Something a little bit specific to Korea, but another last one, the security issue. It is very specific to the Korean Peninsula, I have to say that. I have the three part of it. North Korea, I don't need to explain to you. Recently, North Korea announced that they no more think of South Korea as the same people. They even give up the idea of the unification. They announced that the South Korea from now on, it is clear enemy of the North Korean people, North Korean regime. And they show their intention recently. They break down that the unification, the memorial, the physical, the powder, some the monument, they break down. In Pyongyang, there's subway. There's one station. The station name is Tongil Station, and they erased the name of Tongil. The station's name is Yeok. Just the station is station. They now erase every word of that our people, Tongil, unification. North Korea, and for the last 6 months, they tested their new missile more than 200 times. Almost every day, they launch a new one. But one very one very concerning thing is, sorry to say, but a few years ago, North Korea only tested the ICBM, the long-range missile. So this missile is threat to the United States, to the international community. Yes, we have a big missile. It can reach you. Even more than 10,000 kilometers, we can fly it over to you. But recently, they tested very short and medium size, very high-tech missile. And they're using the solid fuel. And they now even insist that they are successful to making nuclear warhead in very small thing. Not only a strategic nuclear weapon, but also very tactical, the nuclear weapon too. Short range, medium range missile, the target, not that far away country, Japan and South Korea, even Beijing and some other neighboring country. So North Korean threat and their rhetoric nowadays to change dramatically. So now we are working on what is their real intention. And then the Indo-Pacific, yes. So now the relationship with the United States and China is quite high tension. So that relationship have a very strong impact and influence all over the country in Indo-Pacific areas. So in case of Korea, so our basic foreign policy on the very strong foundation with the United States, the alliance with the United States, we handle. So we treat the situation in how can I say? It is a very constructive way. So we always asking the China, please do some constructive work in Korean Peninsula situation. In Japan, now we are trilateral cooperation in security issue, and Russia too. But Russia is also nowadays became a big headache to my country too. Up until now, if you see the map, the Korean Peninsula have a border with Russian too, but very small part of it. Up until now, Russia they have been moving in very calculated way. They never get into directly in the Korean Peninsula situation. So they always calculate political influence and economical interest. If they can insist on, oh, it is a good chance to get international, the economic interest. They're using this card very well. So they are approaching to the South Korea. So yes, we can to persuade the North Korea to accept the deal. And then you have to provide this interest, economic interest to us. This kind of calculation we have. All of a sudden, but because of that, the war in the Europe area, the Ukrainian war, now the relationship with the relationship with Russia and North Korea, it is very unusual thing. We have seen this kind of the cooperation only one time in our history. It was 73 years ago, 1950, in case of the Korean War. That time, Kim Il-sung, that time the leader of North Korea, he visited many times the Moscow, asking the Stalin, so helping us to starting the Korean War. Even that time, the Stalin, he did not give okay sign to the Kim Il-sung. Only the China, very complicated, as you know the story, history. China in very complicated situation, so they made the decision to enter to the Korean War. Now, the Indo-Pacific area is very complicated. If you imagine the Northeast Asia, China, Russia, Japan, across the Pacific, there is a United States. Now, in Taiwan too, and India and Australia, all very big country. Now they are doing very new game, new power struggle, power game in this region. Korea is very small country in the middle of it. So in some Korean people had the idea, why don't we declare Korea is a neutral country like a Swiss? But it's not a good idea. So in power politics among power countries, there is no neutrality. So we know that. And then so in our former administration, our position is like this way. So Korea is a small country. We are between China and the United States. So maybe we can do very clever diplomacy between two countries. Sometime here, sometime here, like this way. And also with the help of those two big countries, might be we have some leverage on the North Korea. But that idea, we think now is not successful. I cannot say failure, but I could not say also it's not very successful. And then so NCW is the Cold War order all over the world. So it is like this way. So world order is newly setting up, very unstable. It also impact on our region. And this situation also impact on North Korea. Well, North Korea we really don't know which direction they would go. I'm just back to a little before the explanation. Many people asking the same question to us, why the North Korea recently changed their policy to the South Korea? Why they do erase everything about the Korean people and the cooperation with South Korea, even the unification? Why they do the cooperation with Russia? And how about the relationship with China? And then North Korea now really give up the possibility of talking again with the United States. Just a few years ago, nobody know the answer. And recently, even the North Korean leader, their newspapers, their official mouth, they never talk very much. It is really really inside the box, nobody knows. But just Korean, some analysts, you just imagine that maybe first thing is the United States, the presidential election, Korean parliamentary election in next month. It is very usual way for the North Korea. They want to strengthen the power before that the election. After the election, might be the North Korea try to resume the talk with the United States. For preparation for that, so they want to do some more leverage by making the situation worse. Second fact, that is very usual explanation. Second fact is, it is interesting. Now, so I just mentioned that recently we just finished interview with the North Korean defector, more than 3,000 people. We asking them, how much do you know about the Korea? And do you know that South Korea is really living well compared to the North Korea? Did you ever see some Korean drama, Korean movie in North Korea? And how you approach to that kind of information? This kind of the question to them. Surprise, the thing is, many people, they don't differ South Korea from Republic of Korea. They think it is different country. Because the South Korea is very familiar to them, so they still thinking that South Korea is still very poor. It is under the colonialization of even the United States imperialism. That kind of the thing. But they think young people, they don't experience the Korean War, any the harsh relationship, and North and South, the direct exchange is only happening in early 2000. They don't have any experience. So they think Republic of Korea is totally different country. So now the North Korean government, they feel some threat about this, the young generation's feeling to the Korean side. And more than 80%, they already watch Korean movie, Korean drama, and then Korean movie and many things. But they don't recognize that it came from the South Korea. So now we think the North Korea, they feel very different kind of that threat from South Korea too. So this is challenges. And yes, just like everyone, so we now encounter this kind of the challenges. So now we need this more open, more dynamic, and more creative, more inclusive society, economy, politics, our security, we have to make, we think. So now we change into the Korean future, but nobody knows what kind of future. But our plan is we want to change our way of thinking in very dramatic way. So this is the Korean, the catchphrase, the Korea as a global pivotal state. If you studying the political science, you understand what means the pivotal state. This is the medium-sized country, but could play very important role in world politics. According to that the academical the definition of the pivotal state, Korea might be not included. But we want to be ourselves to be the global pivotal state. Our goal is we want to make our new role known. It is almost same thing as a universal value, we call that, and also another consensus. But it's different consensus. Our parent generation, very unspoken consensus, every sacrifice, everything. No, we don't request that kind of the same consensus for our young generation. But anyhow, the new consensus, we have to find that. Second thing is, you remember the thing, the Korea is a very specific, the situation in world situation. Since the 1950, for almost 50 years, we have received the assistance, support, and contribution by all over the world. During the wartime, 22 nations sending soldiers and the helping team to Korean Peninsula. After that, so many countries provide the economically, financially, educationally, socially, provide that the support to us. And now the Korea achieved the big success, but we very much understand that this success only possible by the support of the international community, most of all from the United States. So we have a very strong commitment to sharing, so our experience and the achievement with necessary our neighbors and our friends. And third thing is, very fortunately now we have a Korean wave, very popular here. Few years ago, when I met someone in the United States, everybody asked me, so this is where I'm from. I'm from Korea. They talk to me, so where I'm from? South Korea and North Korea. But now, almost all of you so know that. So I'm from the South Korea and the Korean wave drama and everything. It is a very good means to us to share our ideas, our experience, and our intention with you. And this thing, so last year, the Korean president made a state visit to the United States. And we defined the relationship with the United States in this the word, the relationship, the global, comprehensive, strategic alliance. As a diplomat, so every time when we had a bilateral relationship with any other countries, we want to make the relationship in very specific way. So the alliance, strategic partners. So a comprehensive strategic partners, that kind of thing. I think the praise, it is the most strongest the praise which can describe the relationship between two countries. Global comprehensive strategic alliance. Last year, through the summit talk between two countries, two countries not only agreed to strengthen our security cooperation, but also every areas, high-tech cooperation and people's exchanges, cultural cooperation and everything. So on the basis of still very strong the alliance with the United States, with the means of the Korean way, we will share our ideas and our achievement, the experience with the other countries. At the same time, now the Korea has some very changing moments. So internally, we also make some new norm based on some universal value, and also some social and other consensus for the resolving all the challenges we face it. Last thing is the unification. Up until now, we're thinking the unification is the final stage of some status between the Korea. So we have a plan, and we try to approach to the final stage through negotiation, through dialogue. But from now on, it is not fixed yet. We're now working on it, but we think it is the right time to change our idea into the unification. Now we start to think, approach to the unification, not as a final result, but in the process. So on the basis of very strong the confidence building and mutual confidence, and also the support by the international community, it will take a quite long time. But anyhow, we approach to this unification issue is kind of the process, not as a final result or something. It is also related to the less attention, less interest on the unification issue by the Korean young generation too. Okay, so it takes a lot of time, so I have to finish it. So today, my purpose is I want to show some very general picture of the Korea to you. So the state of the Korea right now, what kind of challenge we have, what is the future ideas. So I really hope you can get some very generalized idea of the Korean thing. So when you think about the project related to the Korea, so you can maybe thinking in this way. So Korea developed from the bottom to going up to the top country all over the world. So you can adjust it in this middle of the process. You can find out the way of cooperation with the Korean government too. And I will just opening. Okay. And just a picture. So you have the United States and North Korea. This long history of negotiation from 1985. Maybe some of you was not born even at that time. 1985, 2020. Long history of the North Korean negotiation, but any result, any concrete result, nothing wrong. Only result is North Korea have a nuclear weapon now. And this is the missile. It is very amazing actually, how they can develop this very high-tech the missile. So, okay. And this is Korean Peninsula. I'm just miss it. And this is the last thing. So maybe you heard about that. So from next week, the Museum of Fine Art in Boston, there is the Hallyu, the Korean exhibition. It will be very interesting. It is not only some Korean traditional thing exhibit, but also very the various program you have. So if you find that, especially this one, do you recognize this one? MFA late night. So it's from the 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. The museum opened their door to the young people, DJing and dance party at the museum. And I'm not sure, but some Korean K-pop artists would come to this place here. Yeah. You can buy the ticket, so you're very safe. And many programs. So if you check that the MFA website, you can find it. We, from our point of view, do many things, so many different things. It is a very good opportunity for all of you. If you have any interest on the Korean thing, you can find the very proper the agenda and topic. You can attend. You can also enjoy it. Okay, so thank you very much for presentation. And thank you very much for hearing too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Consul General Kim, for that very interesting talk. For this Q&A portion of this event, I now invite my colleague, Professor Myo-Jung Chung, to serve as the moderator. Professor Chung is the Assistant Professor of Journalism and Media Innovation here at Northeastern University. She's had a very distinguished career. Even before coming here at Northeastern, she was a journalist in South Korea. She's worked in strategic communications and so forth. So I'm going to ask Professor Chung and General Consul Kim to go ahead and sit up here in the front. And
very big problem. So it is not the right way for the Korean people. But during the time, many Korean people think, okay, very strong leader could with us. So we can sacrifice sacrifice those things for our next generation. Maybe times go on, we can change that. That moment happened in 1987. 1987, we have a new generation. Our parent generation is a baby boomer. They now get into the established society, the status. They now starting to enjoy it. Their next generation, usually mainly the student of the university. So they now learn many the right way of society, right way of the Korean politics, democracy. So they opened their eyes and they started to speaking to them. It is also highly supported by the international community too. So we got a lot of criticism. Korea now studying on the right path of economic and social development, but too harsh the military dictatorship, pressure upon the people, the kind of international pressure, and Korean new generation, at the time the new young generations open there, and then also people's mindset is changing. So those three things, it is became the momentum for changing of the Korean entity.
Yeah, I think my parents' generation mentality like that. Like
Yeah.
we can stand dictatorship as long as they can make us rich. Okay, other question? Any other question from the floor?
So in the past, the government had a pretty heavy hand in dictating economic development. Do you see in the future, because you're talking about how the government kind of wants to move away from semiconductors into more high-tech stuff, do you feel like the Korean government is going to continue to have a more directive role, or do you think they are going to step back and let sort of more market powers take over?
Yes, that is a very important and very hard question actually. So we know that. So in this modern world, especially in this world, in this situation, the government only can play a part of it. So it is not the right way just like in the past, the Korean government tried to give a direction to every Korean industry. Now you have to put on your emphasis on semiconductor. No more the clothes making. That kind of thing is impossible. Well, we know that, but I think it is quite deeply seated inside of our the culture too. I don't want to making any generalization of some Asian culture like Confucianism. No, I don't think so. But still, the Korean company, even you know the Korean Jaeol, very conglomerate big companies, very severe competition among them. Sometimes they even themselves mention that too much competition among ourselves, sometimes it is waste. So the government, it is not the give a direction. Government has much broader view. The government can see the broad industry area all together and saving some waste and moving resources from here to here. To some other Western country, Western industry, Western business, it is the government direction, government involvement. But in our cases, the government involvement is decreasing, and also the area and direction is quite big changes. But we always thinking that the government and business, academic and general people, we all together making the consensus for our new industry. Those kind of things we are now discussing about that. But I have to say that, so still, Korean government has playing some role in our managing and operating our economy. Yeah.
I just want to hear your opinion. How different and similar the way that Soviet Union did integrate with the lifestyle of the West, in that moment in time, the perception about the Western lifestyle, American brand, among all these, former Soviet Union, they really like to enjoy. That really remind me of Korean way, the Korean lifestyle as an idea. How will that be impactful on North Korea, especially the young generations? And do you think that will it shift the relationship between North Korea and South Korea? How critical, how, as a pivotal to get that type of peaceful situation?
Yes, it's also a very interesting question. But in 2000, I think 2004, that time the Korean government had a policy to the North Korea. We call this sunshine policy. It is literally mean the sunshine. As you see the sunshine, it is shine on everyone, and sunshine is going on. People feel warm, and we can take off our coat. And under the very strong sunshine, so our mindset is a little bit, the mild, getting mild. That kind of idea. So for the last 4 years, we really try to do pour sunshine to the North Korea. Not only cultural thing and the economic, finance, everything. And later then, so we changed the direction of our policy. So it is not only sunshine at the same time, some pressure, and those kind of thing. But still, we don't know how much those kind of the South Korean efforts of that culture, those things is quite successful in North Korea. But regarding to the Korean culture, K-wave, it has some impact on that North Korea, we are quite sure. As I mentioned that the recent survey, and also I think you already maybe see that news article. Recently, the North Korean government, they put 2 very teenage girls into more than 20 years in prison. Only the wrongdoing is following the Korean, the drama style, very short hair and the short skirt, what that kind of thing. That means, as I already mentioned that, you mentioned the Soviet and also the Germany too, so that people's open to the other people, other culture, very naturally, their idea, their perception is changing. I think the North Korea now start to feel very serious the threat of the cultural approach by the South Korea, and they now try to stop it by their own way. So, but we keep hoping that the kind of the sunshine by the Korean way would still working on and North Korean people.
Okay, one more question.
Yes, to address the demographic shift, is Korea opening its borders to immigrants?
Yes, that is also very difficult question, but I have to say that yes, we have opened our door to the immigrant people. But in the real term, still the door is only not even half, very 1/3 maybe, or the 1/5. So you can picking inside my Korean society. It is related to that the population issue too. So up until now, the Korean government tried to put a lot of budget to resolve that the low birth rate issue, but we now find that it could not be the solution. We're making many some financial support to the newlywed couple, but no meaning. They just enjoy the financial support and no more babies. So we understand that. So there is a few, the solution, one of them is open our door to the immigration. Second door is the changing the cultural perception, because in Korea still, it is a very highly reluctant to accept the children from out of the wedding. So those kind of things, not easy thing. It is related to culture and the perception, our system. We know that. So that is could be one of the possible solution to our situation. Yeah. But now the number of immigration to the South Korean people is getting increased gradually. Yeah, I can say that.
Maybe we can just one more.
Okay.
I have a comment in addition. In mid-2006, there was a leading article in Nodong Sinmun, the North Korean Party Journal, on page 1, dealing with K-wave and multiculturalism and opening to immigration in South Korea, and strongly denouncing all this. And the argument was, because if we allow this, then this will mean the end of the purity of the Korean race, and this is absolutely intolerable.
That's right.
Meaning that the North Koreans are hoping that in some way they can reunite with South Korea, either sunshine policy, or by possibly conquering South Korea, and that's what they're dreaming of. It would be a true world power. It's the old traditional story.
That's right. So the ambassador, he was the ambassador to the North Korea from the 2002.
2005 to 2006.
2005, 2006. So yeah, you know very well about the North situation. You're right, but the conflicting and competition between two Korea, not only some militarily, in its politics too, and also as you mentioned that cultural, the contest also very harsh between the countries, because in case of the South Korea, we lost many the cultural and the heritage artifact we lost during the Korean War at the time. But still we can find many the historical and then some cultural artifact from North Korean side. I think this is France still doing, so excavating that Korea dynasty, some the artifact from the North Korean joint project. Still doing that. The North Korea has very strong that pride in their own culture. But now they face their young generation. They forget about their own, the great culture. They try to follow on that K cultures. So I think that it is very harsh for the Korean, North Korean the leadership too. But funny thing is, North Korean leaders, Kim Jong-un and his sister Kim Yo-jong, they also really like the Korean culture too.
Hey, yeah.
Okay.
Stay right there. Thank you so much, Consul General Kim and Professor Chung for the conversations. And thank you everyone for attending and for your questions. So let me go ahead and just close this event.